and today I'm going to be going over somatotypes, what they are, and how they relate to muscle building and fat loss and achieving your fitness goals. Alright, what is up guys, Austin here and welcome to the video, and today I'm going to be going over somatotypes, what they are, and how they relate to muscle building and fat loss and achieving your fitness goals. And so first off, what are somatotypes? Somatotypes are categorized into three categories. So we have ectomorphs, mesomorphs, and endomorphs. And so the first category, ectomorphs, are people who are more on the side of slender or skinny. These people have a harder time at building muscle. They are on the thinner side and they don't really have that many fat cells. So they just don't have that much muscle or fat overall on their body. And then next we have mesomorphs, which are people who are more muscular. They usually have broader shoulders and just an overall bigger frame. They find that they have an easier time putting on muscle. These are the type of people you see who are more so athletes who will literally touch a weight and they can put on like 50 pounds of muscle. Oh, of course I'm exaggerating, but you get the point. They put on muscle very easily. These people are just naturally more muscular and athletic compared to other people. And also from a gaining and losing fat perspective, these people can gain fat more easily than ectomorphs, but not as much as endomorphs, which we will get into. And so thirdly, we have the third somatotype, which is endomorphs. So these people are characterized as being more heavy. These usually people who have more body fat than usual. This portion of the population find that they struggle more with trying to lose weight and trying to keep it off versus the other somatotypes. And so a question that I see a lot concerning somatotypes is, can you change what body type you are? And unfortunately the answer is no, you're not able to change the somatotype. This is largely based on genetics. You are born with a certain percentage of each somatotype, so obviously you can't just be one single body type. You're more so a mixture of all three. It just depends on which proportions of these three that you fit more into. And so let's kind of break it down how genetics play a role into somatotypes and how they work. And so from a muscle building perspective, usually ectomorphs have a more slender and thin build. So because of that, they just can't pack on that much muscle, because if your frame is only so big, your body will limit the amount of muscle that it can put on. And then next we have mesomorphs. These people find that easier to pack on muscle. These people usually have a more bigger frame. Their bones are usually more thicker, so they're just able to carry more muscle. And then we have endomorphs. These people can usually put on muscle easier than ectomorphs, but not as easy as mesomorphs. And now let's get into the fat gaining and fat losing perspective of it. And so first we have ectomorphs. These people usually don't put on much weight at all. And this obviously accounts for both muscle and fat. And so these people usually just aren't born with that many fat cells. Therefore, they just can't get that fat or muscular. Because as I said before, they have a smaller frame, so they just can't put on a crap ton of weight because their frame is smaller. And then we have mesomorphs. These people usually put on muscle better, so that kind of plays a role into them having a higher basal metabolic rate, which is just the amount of calories that they are able to burn at rest. If you have more muscle, you're obviously going to be able to burn more calories just resting. So these people don't really put on all that much fat. And then endomorphs, these people are going to have the easiest time putting on fat because they're just born with more fat cells. And so if you think about it, everyone is born with so many fat cells, and whenever you gain fat or lose fat, it's not necessarily getting more cells, but that your cells are just getting more inflated or deflated depending on how much body fat you're trying to lose or gain. And usually endomorphs will struggle trying to lose weight or keep it off because they have more fat cells than the other somatotypes. And now we got all that basic stuff out of the way, let's talk about how you should train and how you should eat for each somatotype. And so spoiler alert, it doesn't matter what somatotype you are, you train the exact same, you eat the exact same. It's just that people are genetically predispositioned to have it easier in certain areas than others. Obviously, if you compare it to like school, some people have an easier time studying. You probably know a friend who didn't have to study for a test at all and they aced it. Meanwhile, you studied for like 5 hours and pulled an all-nighter and you struggled to pass a test. The same thing applies here to muscle building, losing fat, and overall health and fitness. You just have to accept that some people have it easier than others, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't try. In fact, if you aren't as genetically advantaged as someone else, that means you should only work harder. It doesn't mean that you should give in and just pity yourself and say, oh, poor me, I have genetics. That shouldn't stop you from being the best version of yourself. And just some basics of training, doesn't matter which somatotype you are, you should always be striving for progressive overload that's making an exercise harder, whether it's adding weight, adding an extra rep, adding an extra set to an exercise. You should always strive to push harder in the gym. You should always be there and arrive there with a purpose to do better than last time. Doesn't matter what you do, as long as you're doing better, these progress steps will add up, and eventually you will reach your goals and you will want to do more and hopefully forever progress and push yourself harder to be a better person. And now from a diet perspective of it, let's address each somatotype by itself. So first we have ectomorphs. These people are more slender and more skinny and just more thin in general. These people might find that they have to eat a lot in order to gain weight. And so the trick is, if you just want to put on more weight, you just have to eat more. And there's really no way around it. You just have to eat more. A lot of people have the question of, oh, how do I gain weight? How do I put on more mass? The answer is just to eat more. Just find more calorie dense. So I've talked about low calorie dense foods in the past, and now you just have to flip it around and go for calorie dense foods. This is foods that are just more higher in calories, usually higher in fat because fat has the most amount of calories per gram. Using more oils, eating more foods that are less filling so that you're just able to eat more. And some people like to use mass gainer shakes. I've used them in the past, but I find that it's kind of pointless because you're just spending more money on something you can just eat. And sure, it's like an easy way to get like an extra 1,000 calories, but I recommend getting your nutrition for more so whole foods. So just eating more calorie dense foods. Stuff that doesn't fill you up, like oils, rice, pasta, just stuff in general that goes down easy and doesn't keep you full for long. And stuff that you find yourself just being able to eat a lot of, that's also containing a good amount of calories. And then now we have mesomorphs. It's kind of in between. Just aim for protein and the amount of calories you need. For the appropriate amount of muscle growth, you just want to be able to facilitate it because you're already having like a genetic predisposition to be able to gain more muscle. So just eat optimally. And then endomorphs. Endomorphs, I find that they usually have to be more careful about their nutrition because they can put on fat more easily. Just focusing on eating more low calorie dense foods. You just want to be eating around maintenance. This applies to all somatotypes anyway. Just eat around maintenance, push yourself in the gym, and you will see results. You'll be able to build muscle and not have to gain a ton of fat along with that. You can also check out my video on bulking, on why it's not necessary, but that's another topic. So just focus on eating around maintenance. If you want to get leaner, then eat at a slight deficit. Aim for about 0.5 to 1% of your body weight per week. And then for reference, that's about a 500 calorie deficit if you want to lose 1 pound a week. And just kind of judge your calorie deficit from there. But yeah, endomorphs, focus more low calorie dense foods. I found that vegetables, fruits, popcorn, egg whites are probably one of the most filling foods. Chicken breast as well. It's a lot of lean protein, vegetables, fruits, starchy carbs. Those are really filling. And then I also want to talk about one last thing. So you as a person, you are not just one single somatotype. You are a combination of all three. Some people might be more ecto, meso, and some people might be more meso, endo. They put on more fat, but they can't put on a lot of muscle at the same time. Or they can put on a lot of muscle and stay pretty lean at the same time. These people are kind of like the winners of the genetic lottery. And then of course you can kind of have the worst of the two. You can not put on muscle as easily and be able to put on a lot of fat at the same time. But like I said before, do not let that discourage you. That should not get in the way of your goals. As long as you're pushing hard in the gym, staying on track, being consistent, you will reach your goals, I promise you. And then of course there's not really 100% way to find out which percentage of somatotype proportions that you are. But I've just done like a quick Google search and just found like a dozen calculators. Always take it as a grain of salt. Don't use it as like an excuse or use it as like a defining thing for yourself. Because I feel that a lot of us get into the mindset of if we are genetically predisposed to some way, then that's just an excuse not to change, not to improve yourself for the better, but instead use that as a driver, as a motivator to improve yourself. But yeah, I hope this video helps. Let me know if you have any questions or concerns in the comments below. Like this video if you guys enjoyed it and learned something to apply to your everyday life. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys in the next one.